Welcome to Exploring Mystere, where presence meets enchantment and the unseen stirs into existence. I'm Stephanie Foley, your guide into the wilds of wonder, where curiosity meets intuition, embodied wisdom, and ancient mystery systems. Each episode opens a portal. So, take a breath. Let your senses soften. Suspend disbelief and enter with me into the mystery. Before we ever mapped the world or measured time with gears, we lived by patterns, seasons, the cycles of the moon, tides, the stars. Some patterns are ingrained, like months of the year, days of the week, and others just sort of hum quietly beneath everything, like a plant life cycle, which mirrors the creativity cycle. Many of these patterns are really unseen dream weaving of cosmic threads, and many of them come in spirals of 7. So I didn't go looking for this pattern. It found me in colors, the rainbow, musical notes, chakras, and many ancient myths. I became enchanted. All the 7s, they weren't just patterns, they were portals. And today I want to share the spiral of 7s with you. It's a living map of symbolic threads. They weave through time, body, spirit, and story. These threads form the mytho-magical framework that I call cosmic dream weaving. And it's a way of seeing and sensing life layered with meaning, mystery, and motion. It's all interwoven in an ongoing evolution of being. I want to tell you a story about how my enchantment with the 7s really expanded. I was at a farmer's market. There was a artisan creating jewelry, metal rings, and they were interlocking. He showed them in the display. They came in groups of 3, 7, and 21, he said was the most he'd ever done. But I kept looking at the one of 7. And honestly, if it would have been a little bit smaller for my little fingers, I would have gotten it. It was so magical. And he said that was his favorite in the group, the 7 interlocking rings, because he said, there's something really magical and satisfying about the artistic balance of it, and how 7 really is such a magical number. And he listed the 7 colors, the 7 continents, and the 7 days of the week. And I knew this guy and I were going to get along just great. I said, did you know that the 7 days of the week were actually named after the planets? And it's because in the years ago, we only knew about 7 planets. And then these translated to these gods, and they translate to the days of the week. And he said, no, but what about the 7 seas? And then he said, there's 7 petals on a lotus. And of course, 7 deadly sins. And we're laughing and talking. And I said, there's 7 seals. And then I brought up the constellation of the 7 sisters. And pretty soon a crowd started to gather around, and we're all standing around citing all these 7s, Saturn's rings, the stages of alchemy. I mean, it was truly a magical moment. It was such a cosmic invitation. All these 7s everywhere. The creative cycle was always something that drew me in. And then to start to see it mirrored in all these other groups of 7, like the life cycle, all the way from seed to bloom and composition. The moon itself, I mean, technically there's 8, but that means there's 7 in between sections, Anyway, I've gathered a whole cosmic weaving loom of 7 7s because I couldn't help myself. I won't give you 7 times 7, 49 today, but I'll give you a few examples of each. Okay, so in the category of my 7 categories of my cosmic loom of spiraling sevens, time and transformation. We've got like the days of the week and the transformation process of alchemy. Color, light, and sound is another category. So there's the solfeggio frequencies. I'm not sure how to say that. But there are these frequencies, and there's 7 of them with sound and lighting temperatures. Did you know there's 7 lighting temperatures? So the next category I have is the mystery and the unseen. So there's 7 hermetic principles, and there's 7 veils of initiation. Another category, inner myth and moral mirrors. So like the 7 virtues, the 7 sins, we have 7 shadow selves, sacred structure, and symbolic systems. There are 7 platonic solids and 7 rites of passage. In geography and living worlds, we have these 7 directions, north, south, east, west, which everybody automatically thinks of, but there's also above, below, and within. And so I am a meta mapper. That's just what I do. And so in the meta mapping and dream weaving category, I've worked to distill this down to 7 cosmic tenets, which are these practical, well, I'll share them with you. These 7 cosmic tenets are core truths offered kind of as a compass, and they're to help us navigate both our inner and outer worlds. I've spent my life mapping the inner territory. and the purpose of these tenets is to really invite us to live with purpose. It's not so much a moral code as it is an enchantment code. And coming back to a place where we're living in sacred reciprocity, or as the Kiro shaman call Ayni, A-Y-N-I. I can never pronounce that correctly either. But being in right relationship with things. So on with the 7. They are, number 1, the tenet of possibility. Imagination is the gateway where new potentials flow. That is the tenet of possibility. Next is the tenet of mystery. Intuition is the compass that guides us through the unseen. Third, we have the tenet of momentum. Momentum is built through mindful habits. Every step matters. Expression is our next tenet, and that is creativity is the cosmos speaking through you. The 5th tenet is expansion. Energy grows where you place your attention. The next one is enchantment. The heart is the portal to magic. And the 7th tenet is reciprocity, giving and receiving dance in sacred balance. So these 7 tenets are the rights by which I live my life, my philosophy of living, if you want to call it that. Or like I said before, they're like a code of enchantment or of enchanted living. They are the threads that together they are weaving our lives. Our daily lives come in these. Well, we'll get to that. I'm getting ahead of myself. So I wanted to talk about these cosmic tenets and how also in the spiral of 7s, I got really excited about archetypes. And so through this cyclical mapping of all these 7s and the 7 sevens and these 49 things and being inspired by the fact that all these threads have some associations, and it's not a one-to-one association, it's a weaving where one of these 7s hooks up with one of these 7s in meaningful ways, and that is the basis of all mystery schools. So I've created these 7 archetypes out of the associations that can be looked at, and there's a quiz. Of course there's a quiz. There's an archetype quiz. People love archetype quizzes, right? So it's a map of these 7 sevens to help sort of invite reflection, play, and creative remembrance. So if you would like to take that quiz, I'll put the link down below. And I call it the art of archetypes. So archetypal artistry. There we go. Archetypal artistry. So I'm inviting you to engage in archetypal artistry, discovering which symbolic guide is walking with you right now and how it can shape your season of becoming, and which cosmic tenet might be most meaningful to you right now. But as I said, there's 7 sevens, so that's a total of 49. That's a lot. We're always going to just go back to a braid. The only 3 that have 3 threads that have these very direct one-to-one kind of correlations are the guiding tenet, the 7 tenets that I read to you earlier, the day of the week. I've assigned each one to a day of the week. And then, of course, there is a planet associated with each day of the week, and these are like understood and accepted and agreed upon by all. All of the other 49 can be argued. You can say this thread goes with this one. And that's the point. We're not supposed to create all these exact one-to-one correlations. We're supposed to explore where we're at right now. So in the same way, this Cosmic Archetype Quiz, I call it a seasonal cosmic compass, because it's really just giving us a direction of where we are now, and it can change. And so ideally, we would take this quiz at least with each season, each of the 4 major seasons, to kind of tune in and find out, is our own inner landscape matching or not matching the outer landscape? Because it often isn't. In fact, more often it isn't. And it's so helpful to tune into, where are we in the outer landscape and where are we in the inner landscape, and how do we blend those? And again, keep on weaving. So if you're curious about any of that, check the links in the description below. There are so many 7s to talk about. Like I said, 49 of them, that I'm going to do a whole series of sparkler shortcasts. And so each episode will light up one thread of this spiral of 7s. Each of these little pocket spells of meaning and myth and mythomagical meaning, I love words, are designed for just wonder, listening, reflection. So there'll be little bits, little tiny bits, because it's not about knowing everything. It's about sensing what your threads are right now in your life. So with that, may the pattern of the 7-fold spiral awaken something ancient and luminous within you. Thank you for joining me on this journey through exploring Mystere. Remember, you don't have to solve all the mysteries. You only have to wonder what happens when you invite enchantment into your life. So if you felt something stir within you, follow it. I'd love to hear about your dreams, synchronicities, and questions that are part of this living field we are co-creating. To explore further, you can visit us at moonfeatherhollow.com for courses, coaching, and lunar tools like our Dream War of Moonlit Alchemy. This is our guided journal for dream weaving and intuitive reflection. And if exploring Mystere feels like home, please share it with a fellow seeker or leave a review. Your voice is part of the living field. Until next time, may you walk gently with the mystery and let the shimmer show you the way.